the second time since 1957, for the first time since January 5th, 1992, these Detroit Lions are going to win a playoff game.
Well, I don't think it's news by now, but Cameron Sutton is getting a second chance in the NFL with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers signed Sutton to the team on a one-year deal early this June. This was after participating in organized team activities shortly after that the deal was announced. Sutton declined to really get into any specifics about what led to his arrest or any potential punishment that the NFL could levy if it finds he violated the league's personal conduct policy. This signing was more than 2 months after the Detroit Lions released Cameron Sutton for his involvement in what was the alleged domestic violence incident in Florida. Sutton, as you may remember, was on the run, but eventually surrendered to authorities and entered a pretrial diversional program in April after the charges were reduced from a felony to a misdemeanor battery. His agreement with the prosecutors required him to take a mental health evaluation, and his lone quote about this whole ordeal was this: "Adversity strikes everyone in life, so it's all about how you handle it, how you necessarily go through those phases and just knowing who you are individually, not letting someone else dim your light." I mean, where was that type of mentality before this issue, Cam? But how does this impact the Lions, and what are we expecting to happen? That's the question of this video and what we're trying to answer today, and that's really where it gets blurry. Things have definitely changed over the last few days. When the Detroit Lions cut Cameron Sutton earlier this offseason, it was due to his pending and alleged legal trouble. So very clear situation here. Personal conduct policy and other NFL rules that are involved in this and in the contract should be really clear. But he was wanted for this alleged participation in this battery, and that's why he was released. Pretty simple. Many Lions fans were interested in the financial impact of the move, as we didn't have a ton of information right at the time because there was a lot of things that needed to happen first. But the team looked to void the full $10.5 million guarantee that was attached to his contract, which would have been added this month had Detroit not released Sutton with a post-June 1 designation. However, Sutton is apparently going to fight that, according to Jason Fitzgerald from Over the Cap. He is reporting that Sutton has will file a grievance to keep all of that money. While we await the outcome, 40% of the money in question is back on the books as part of the grievance process, kind of held in escrow, if you will, but it is now attached to the Detroit Lions salary cap figures for 2024. So for the time being, the Lions are sitting with right around $34.5 million in salary cap space, again, per Over the Cap. And their recent update to the Lions cap figures and the NFLPA adjusted figures that was just released. Sutton accounts for $6.38 million against the cap, including the $4.2 million that was added as a result of the grievance that will or is pending to be filed if it hasn't already. Now, Detroit also has his signing bonus for next season, which is $6.54 million, and that is also on the books for 2025. Since being released, Sutton has returned to the Pittsburgh Steelers, as we know, but he also has a new contract. So whether or not the Lions will ultimately pay out on Sutton's cap figure from this season will depend on an arbitration hearing. In the meantime, the 40% of the amount that Sutton is requesting, which equals $4.2 million, is being placed on the Lions' current cap amount, hence the decrease in available cap space that we noticed this week. If Sutton wins this arbitration hearing, the Lions will likely be forced to pay him more than an initial $4.2 million that is currently being held. In the grand scheme of things, the Lions are still in great shape. Salary cap-wise, they're doing well. $34.5 million is plenty of money to get through the rest of the season, especially after signing the three pillars to this team that they did with Penei Sewell, Jared Goff, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. So if they were to lose this grievance, it really wouldn't hurt as much as we had thought initially, but it's still a big hit. I mean, that's still a few players. If you really want to boil it down, you can get plenty of players for $10.5 million. But they'll still be able to make some moves in free agency or after the 53-man cuts. This is what I don't get, though. And I guess I don't really need to mention this. I mean, I think that we all feel it at times. But the Lions shouldn't end up on the wrong side of this, right? I mean, should they? I mean, realistically, should they really end up on the wrong side of this? I just can't imagine how that's possible. To me, it's unfathomable that the NFL has not even done anything to this point, or near as swiftly as they have with other players in very similar or even less trouble from the past. So here are some examples. And I'm putting these examples out here because I just want everyone to understand the level of punishment that was leveled against other players. 2021, running back Darius Geis suspended for 6 games, domestic violence. 2019, Cleveland running back Kareem Hunt suspended 8 games, aggravated assault called on camera. 2019, Seattle defensive lineman Jerron Reed suspended 6 games, assault accusation, not even a conviction. 2018, Baltimore Ravens cornerback Jimmy Smith suspended for 4 games, domestic violence. In 2017, Dallas Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott suspended 6 games, domestic violence. 2017 kicker Josh Brown suspended 6 games, domestic violence. And then there are 2 of the bigger punishments that the NFL handed out, which were to Adrian Peterson and Ray Rice. The NFL really dropped the hammer down on the then Vikings running back Adrian Peterson, suspending him for an entire season over ongoing concerns about domestic violence or domestic abuse tied to his 4-year-old son. And then Ray Rice, which was the story that completely blew apart the internet when this happened. But Ray Rice was charged with a 3rd-degree aggravated assault. He avoided trial by entering a pretrial intervention program. The reason why I'm highlighting this one last is because this is exactly what Cam Sutton is doing. So same as Sutton, which involves a guilty plea in exchange for the opportunity and no conviction upon successful completion of the program. He was issued a 2-game ban initially. And then that Monday on September 8th, full footage from this issue that Ray Rice was involved in inside the Revel Hotel elevator was released by TMZ, showing Ray Rice punching Palmer and knocking her out cold. 7 hours after the second video emerged, Ray Rice was released by the Ravens. Shortly after that, an NFL spokesperson announced that he had been indefinitely suspended from the league. So look, this whole situation is just odd. It doesn't make any sense when you look at it with a real wide, angle lens here. How on earth has the NFL not suspended Sutton pending all of these legal issues? The NFL has taken a bigger stance on domestic violence over the last 10 years or so. And for that reason alone, I just don't understand why nothing has been preemptively done in this case, such as even placing him on the exempt list, pending any legal findings or resolutions to this case. At the end of the day, I'm just glad Sutton is not a Lion. This is not the type of players that we want on this team, and I hope the organization gets the result that they deserve. Based on plenty of examples or previous cases, even with the NFL, right? The one thing we do know is that the NFL and Roger Goodell are anything but consistent.